Jessica, it's great to have you with me on Life's Checkmark. I just want to go back a little bit. So we were able to talk for 20 minutes or so, and then I found out that you were doing these Easter cookies or whatever, right? And so I ordered them, and so what happened was Jessica baked the cookies, all the ingredients, and sent it to the house, wherever you live, to whoever ordered them, and she did a live, right? It was live, right? Yeah, you did live,
Yeah.
and shared how to decorate them and everything. And so my daughter was doing it, and I would say Jessica was kind enough to do a private one for me and my daughter because we didn't get our cookies in time. So, it was nice of you to join us on a Sunday instead of a Saturday. But that's just a small portion, I know, of what you have to offer and what you love doing. So, I just wanted to share that because that kind of got us a little closer together with not just us, but, with my daughter as well, and, have that experience. So would you mind just like telling us who Jessica is, and more what you're about, what you're passionate about, like you can dive into your cooking and stuff.
Sure. I'll just go back from the beginning. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I'm the oldest of four kids in a Hispanic family. So growing up, it was like a kid raising a kid. She was 16, and then she had a child, me. So in her early 20s, I was someone who was like very curious and inquisitive. I asked her so many questions about everything, including when she would be cooking. So she said, "Girl, just get in the kitchen with me." And I was so happy. I put on my little apron. That at that point, I was probably like 5 or 6, and I just watched in the beginning. There's a lot you can do by watching. And over the years, I picked up some things organically just by her being my teacher on how to cook for a family. Now, she relied on me for everything. She was a blue-collar worker. She was trying to raise 4 kids. So it was more of, hey, it's not a ask. I need you to do certain things. And so, yeah, I learned in the kitchen my fundamentals on how to be a chef and a baker. Over time, we grow up, and then, the world tells us, oh, you need to have certain credentials. You need to go to school. And fine, I graduated high school. I went off to college. But what I found, Jonathan, was that my passion was not necessarily in academics. I went to school to be a nurse, and I found out that although I was smart enough to pass the courses, I did not enjoy it. It was not the bodily fluids and everything just kind of grossed me out. So I ended up at 21 years old, dropping out of school, a prestigious 4-year university, and wondering, okay, I know I don't want to do this. Now I need to figure out what I really want to do. Have you ever been there where you just like, you make a decision split and you just know it's the right one, but you don't have a plan?
That's right. Yep. All the time.
You don't have a plan? So I did not have a plan. But I knew that my rent was due. I knew that certain things as a new adult were needed to be taken care of. So I got a little job in the mall, but I always kept up my studies in regards to the culinary stuff. I was a 21-year-old kid. I was living on minimum wage, didn't have a lot of money, no credit. And my goal was to go to culinary school. Like I wanted to learn what the pros knew. Right? And so that could really build on my knowledge. So I was bold, and I went to one of the chef schools here in Tampa, Florida. And I just simply asked, hey, can I speak to your top chef? And the women in the front of the store looked at me like, little girl, who are you? But I told them, I say, look, I know you don't know me, but I have something very important to ask the chef. And I know he's busy, but I'll stay right here all day long, and I'll wait for him because I can't leave without asking him this question. It'll take 2 minutes, I promise. So after a few hours, they thought, wow, she's really serious. And the chef came to see me. He says, hi, young lady, what can I do for you? And that was my chance. You ever have a moment where it's just like, this is your moment, So this was my moment. And I went all in. I said, chef, I know you don't know me, but I'm someone who is very interested in culinary classes. I feel like I could work under you and learn so much. I'm I'm in my early 20s. I'm living on minimum wage. I'm trying to figure out life, and I don't have the money to go to your school. I don't have 50 grand on me to go to your school. And I don't think I even qualify for a loan because I'm young. I don't have a cosigner. I'm on my own. So what I'm asking for is an opportunity from you, not a job, but eventually if I could get this opportunity, I could really multiply it, and I can honor you by working under you for free. And if you allow me to just be in the vicinity of your classes, and if you allow me to ask a few questions, and I promise I won't make any waves or cause you any trouble, but I just need an opportunity to be here in the room with you as an apprentice. And he looked at me, he's like, so you want a job for free? You don't want me to pay you? And that perplexed him because usually people come in there and, with their credentials and say this, that, and the other. No, I was coming as myself, college dropout, someone hungry to really express her creativity. And I was like, yeah, I don't want a job. I want an opportunity, because one day I'm going to have my own business, and one day I'm going to say that, and his name was Dave West. Chef Dave West was my mentor. He says, so you're asking me for a job, but you don't want to get paid. I'm like, yes, exactly. He was like, all right, well, show up at 8 a.m. tomorrow, and we'll see if we have some things. You can wash the dishes, or, you can be in the class. I don't care, but you might have to, help out the other assistants. Fine. I was so happy with that. And there I graduated with 2 years of experience, learning the professional way to plate, to present, different heat measures for different types of cooking, what it is, the difference between grilling, sauteing, and how to prepare different types of food. It was an experience. I mean, the mother sauces, the white sauce that's usually for Alfredo, that I learned the base sauces, the bechamel sauce is what they call it. And then you have a tomato sauce that usually for spaghetti or something. So he taught me everything, like the formal ways of cooking. One thing that I remember too is the holy trinity of vegetables. So usually in your soups or even in your stocks or in your seasonings, you probably can't identify this, but the 3 major ingredients for seasoning are celery, carrots, and onion. So really, you have that mix. Pretty much is the base of anything: celery, carrot, and onion in equal parts. It's called the Holy Trinity, or the French people call it mirepoix. So, I learned these things. I just thought I was so highbrow. Like, oh, I know about the mirepoix and everything else. I know. I learned from the chef on how to do things correctly. So I was excited to do all kind of gatherings at my house, like really just learn and hone into those skills. And then transitioning from the cooking, man, the creativity in baking really got me. So like that was the part. I love food, but I love food, but I fell in love with baking. Like I found that it soothed my soul. It allowed me to express emotions. And that's all I wanted to do for a little while. So because I had already graduated from the culinary school, now it's time for me to figure out, how do I bake? And knowing what my mom told me and kind of capitalizing on that information, we're in a age where we can go to Google or YouTube. And I spent nights on YouTube just watching videos. How do you tint buttercream? How do you type on borders and roses and all of the things that, that make it pretty? So I went through that transition. And it really helped me, especially in a dark time in my life. I was going through a rocky relationship. And, oftentimes when things are not right, we go through anxiety, sometimes a little bit of depression. And I couldn't sleep. But what saved me from my crazy, if you want to call it that, and my worry, was the ability that I went into the kitchen and I could create. And it wasn't perfect, no, but it was a start. It helped me banging pots and coloring and all the things that help you express what's inside. It was like my magic pill. So I just fell in love with it all. I started a company, Jessica Roman Cakes, in 2008, and pretty much just did production, right? In 2021, when the pandemic hit and all, I think it might have been 2020 or 2021, the pandemic was here, everybody was home. I took a life coaching certification course that really kind of brought in the gifts that God had given me. Everybody tells me, oh, you're easy to talk to. Your voice is so soothing. You're such a good listener. And it's funny, I've heard those things all my life, but I didn't believe it, Jon. How many times does somebody come and tell you, man, I like your personality. I like your spirit. You're so positive. You're so cool. Like, you're so interesting. And you're like, yeah, okay, thanks. But then when it keeps coming back to you by different people, it's like God sending confirmation. Hello, daughter. Hello, son. I'm calling you to something. I need your attention. And that was a time for me to really be in solitude. And I realized, okay, I have nothing to do, right? But I can take a course. So I took a life coaching certification online. And it changed my life. It really did. So I mixed the coaching part with my baking and cooking. Started Yummy Coaching Factory. So everybody always says, you're that yummy girl. Yes, I'm that yummy girl. But they often get perplexed, like, what is Yummy Coaching? Well, it's a technical school that helps you learn cooking and baking techniques from A to Z, really taking you from rookie to the real deal. And like you said, it starts out usually with exploration, right? I sent you and your daughter the cookies, baked, but unfinished. We sent you the icings in different colors, the sprinkles. And all I did was get on a live with you because I was not going to miss this opportunity to see a father and his daughter bonding. Yeah, it was Easter and the cookies were late. It was something I couldn't control, but I wasn't going to miss this opportunity to see what my gifts can do and bring the light out of your little girl and see her love you and look at you in such eyes that it's like, you're the best, Dad, And that's what it does. So I bring people together through food. You have great conversations through food. It really starts with just a little bit of curiosity. And as people take, a la carte classes, then they inquire about the more advanced ones, the ones that are more formal. But I love what I do. I'm a creative person. I am a pretty much down-to-earth, straightforward shooter. Being from Brooklyn, New York, it's kind of hard to fake it, right? Because we're so, we're just a different species, I think, when you're from New York. And although I live in Florida now, I'm a Floridian. I've been here for 20 years, but at the end of the day, you could take the girl out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the girl.
Yeah.
But people love that. So that's a little bit about me. And I appreciate you asking, my evolution and how everything came to be.
Sure. And just to go back a little bit, what are the chances of you asking your, coach or, I don't know what you want to call your chef, what are the chances of you just asking and him saying yes? He could have easily said no, but you took the opportunity to ask and you were persistent. And I think that showed a lot there when he said yes to you. Would you think that maybe not just him, but other people would be more than willing to allow that to happen if they were asked?
I would hope so. As a coach, we use our gifts, but we also have a certain discernment. I've taken on students who couldn't afford to take my program. And because something in my spirit said they're supposed to be here, and there's more impact involved than just the benefit of money, I've allowed, one of my recent students is a high school graduate. She's 17 years old. She's going to Stetson College, so she's super smart. And has asked the administration if she could have baking classes on campus by using their commercial kitchen. She asked, and that's what I tell her: be bold, ask, because let me tell you, people want to see, and this is the pun, other hungry people. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want to see people who have grit and consistency and passion, and that it just ignites, and it's something very familiar to another artistic person. It's like, you do have what it takes. All right, well, I'm going to pass the baton because someone once helped me. So I'm going to pass the baton. You just have to promise to show up, promise to give me your energy, promise to use this information for good. And now one of my students, she's already go to college, and she's learned how to make cake pops. She's learned how to make pound cakes. She's learned how to do all kind of things, just taking my classes. And now she can make money with it. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, so you paid it forward. Now, with that being said, do you also like share how to go ahead and start selling your own stuff?
Yeah, so absolutely. The business part is huge, and the talent is just it's half of the journey, because we can get discouraged if no one responds to our advertising, no one responds to our shiny website. It's all I teach them too. You just have to show up as yourself, So the business part, of course, you need legalities, LLC, business insurance, so that you don't get sued. And I also teach them about having employees. If you want to go that route of having employees, it'll make your life so much easier. But first, you need to learn exactly everything that you're going to teach them, because they're going to come to you and say, okay, how do you want this done? One of the things I had to overcome was the control factor, because I want to do things the way I want to do them, the way I know in my head they should be done. But no, I had to bless someone else with the information and trust that they could do it. And every time I've done that, I've hired my nephew one time to help me with big jobs. My sister, we got to keep it in the family for the taxes. But lo and behold, I saw their work and I'm like, oh, wow, you can do this. So it really put my ego in check, because now I could do more administrative things. I could do more marketing, sales, and really put my energy where it counts, be the face, and ask people if they want to get paid, to work with me. And most often you tell a college kid or a high school kid, hey, I'll pay you X amount of money for these hours on a weekend. They're there early, early. So yeah, I definitely teach the basics of business, because it's important that they get the information early. It took me almost 20 years after I learned baking to really step out in true business and really have, a marketing campaign, a program, a website. I just did things in the house. In Florida, they allow us to work under the cottage food law, which means that you can sell to direct customers, but you can't sell necessarily wholesale in Costco or Walmart. So they do allow you to have a home-based business here, with the understanding that the customer knows that you work from home. And that's never been an issue for me. So yeah, I teach them different avenues. If you want to get an LLC, these are the benefits. If you want to work from home, check your state laws, find out which works for you. And I'm, one time, people come to me and they say, oh, your program is 8 weeks, but really I'll always have a personality to where people can come back to me. You can always, once I teach you, I'm not going to say, no, your package is over, we can't talk anymore, good luck. There's some people who do that, but my heart won't let me do that. I really invest in the success of my students. If they're in an area where they're blocked, sometimes I have to teach them on how to sell. And it's not necessarily a manipulation type of thing. No, you have a service, they have a need, and you just have to educate the customer on what you can do, how it benefits them, and what are your boundaries in the process. Because another thing is, some people will run over you if you let them, hey, I need a cake for tomorrow, and I need it to be custom with my logo, this, that, and the other. I have to say no to those, because it's just not enough time to do it right, up to my standard. So, but some people have an issue, saying no. So then we go into the whole personal development part. Why are you scared of saying no? What happens? Why do you get anxiety? Where's that coming from? And we resolve some of those inner issues so that you can show up, have boundaries, and know that it's okay, and really know how to present your product as a benefit to others.
That's great. Yeah. And you did a lot of transitions, so you went from cooking to baking, and, we could dive in a little bit more what you're doing now, but you're able to share what you went through in business too.
Yeah.
And that's also awesome that you allow them to come back even after, they're done. Because, not only are you being kind and generous and you want to, see them succeed, they got this far, right? They might just need that extra phone call. So you answer that question, but then that carries on, they're going to go, oh, I know Jessica, you can go talk to her, and, and somebody else is joining your course, your class and jumping in. So, prior to us hit record, you were talking about starting to do healthy food now. So, I mean, if you want to talk a little bit more about that. So like now you're transitioning again, it's just
yeah.
The revolving door kind of here.
I tell you, it's just the growth of life. You can't help but to evolve. And when you evolve, it's like, okay, I have to keep serving. I can't limit myself to just what I know. I have to give my heart and my reason why I'm doing certain things. So, of course, Yummy Coaching Factory is the main business, teaching technical skills, doing holiday virtual summits and things like that. A side project of mine recently is called Nourish to Flourish. And it's such a good, healthy program inside and out for the individual who is looking for vitality, renewed energy in their life, a positive attitude. We're getting older, right? 30s, 40s, 50s, that's the age range that, I usually attract. So we want to be healthy to see our kids graduate from school. We want to have the energy to go and run outside with the dog and throw frisbees. We want to have energy to see our legacy unfold under our eyes. So what does that translate to? It translates to, first, having an understanding of what it means to eat healthy, what it means to nourish your body. What kind of vitamins do you need on a regular basis? How do you manage chronic health conditions? Now, I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian, but I have somebody on my team who is. I'm not a personal trainer, but I have 2 people on my team who are. I'm not a meditation and holistic spiritual person, but I have 1 person on my team who can help you with meditation and going inward, understanding why you do what you do. So that program it just started a few months ago. It's in its beta stages, but I've got a lot of interest because people are, these days, I don't know if it's the water or the food but cancer seems to be rampant. Like there's so many conditions that people are having, and they just want to learn, how can I beat this? First with food, and then, when you have such a success with eating healthy, and now I can also teach you how to cook it because I'm a chef. Now you feel empowered to go and get recipes and work in the kitchen. And then now you have energy to go outside, walk a little bit, swim a little bit. We don't do anything heavy duty, but it's more of an accountability group for people who want to live healthier lives and understand that food is the basis of that decision. And then some movement is also required. So we check in. I've also mentored people with food addiction. And much like how I mentored the people in Yummy Coaching with businesses, we kind of get into the reasons on why they're scared to do certain things. We tap into the mindsets of, why am I resulting to food when it's not healthy for me? Where did it start? Was it because of a traumatic event? Have you always been like this? Is that what you taught? So it's the deprogramming of the unhealthy mindset, and then it's the reprogramming of really your relationship with food. So yeah, Nourish to Flourish is taking off. Yeah.
Yeah. So like sometimes for me, if you feel stressed, you might jump in and grab something that you shouldn't be eating, right?
Yeah.
And you know it, you're like, I know. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. So then that I could see where your meditation and all that stuff can come in to kind of ease that level, and then you're not eating the wrong fruit that you shouldn't be eating. So, what do you really love the most? You're doing so much different things right now. What is your favorite?
My favorite is, I guess it goes back to the foundation. It's seeing the faces of a crowd of people who are just amazed at new cooking skills, who are excited because now, so oftentimes I'm invited in groups to do presentations, and the recent one, it was like a women's empowerment group. So I went into the group and we did a summer smoothie and salad edition, right? So, I take for granted that I grew up in the kitchen, Jon. I take for granted that this is second nature to me, and I have to realize not a lot of people understand food, chemistry, techniques, how to put different flavors together. So I show them what's simple to me and do like some demonstrations. Specifically, we just showed like what fruits go with each other. Like when you're making a smoothie, you either want a banana or avocado, something creamy, right? Something creamy. Then you need maybe a fibrous fruit, like something green. You could do kale, spinach, anything green. I've even done like romaine lettuce because I had it left over and I just froze it and I just used it. And then you want a little bit of a sweetener. So you can do natural sweetener like mango is a good one, or I like strawberries. So it's really putting together your own recipe of what you like with the fundamentals of, number one, I need something creamy. Number two, I need a fibrous fruit or a vegetable. And number three, I need a fruit that kind of gives me a sweetener. And then you add your liquid, either water, almond milk, something like that. But you could really make your own recipes with those four key elements. So they were to have that information and just like, oh my God, now they're thinking of so many possibilities of different recipes that they could make. We went through salads too, the same thing on how to make a salad dressing from scratch with certain fundamentals. You need your oil, you need your acid, you need your, maybe if it's a sweet recipe, you need some kind of sweetener. And then if it's a tangy recipe, you need some kind of like mustard or Dijon or something like that. So we went through the basics for that. And they like to see this, the people just get excited now, like how I get excited, because now they have the information. They're not in the dark anymore. And it's a lot cheaper to do it yourself. So I still love teaching classes, either virtual or in person. I just love being a teacher.
You love interacting with people, and then you have the food to come with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jessica, what is the best way for somebody to connect with you, whether just to have a talk to start or your coaching and stuff?
Yeah. Like I told you, I'm an open book. So you can find me under my name, Jessica Roman, Roman, and on the Facebook. I'm not running from anybody. My Facebook profile is public, so you can find me. You might have to put Florida because there's a lot of people who have my name apparently. So you might have to put Jessica Roman, Florida, or they can go to your page because we're connected on Facebook as well, and they can find me under your contacts. My website will also give you email access to me, yummycoachingfactory.com. And you can see a gallery of photos that I've done. You can see what classes are coming up next. You can shoot me an email and it brings you to my calendar where you can even book a 20-minute consultation, and I could just talk to you as an individual, see, what your goals are and if I can help in any way.
Awesome. Yeah. And so then I have one more question for you, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
What are 3 key things you learned and used along your journey?
3 key things that I've learned and used along the journey. Number 1, book smarts get you only so far. So whether you're someone who reads a lot of books, or you're going to a formal university, or you even study recipes, that's half the battle, really. I would say the other half of the battle is using what you got naturally to accentuate those things. So if you happen to be someone who's good with words, right? Maybe you've always been a good speaker, and now you want to use your knowledge of whatever it is that you're studying to impact the world. Well, blend those things together and use what you have. So I think people minimize the importance of being yourself and bringing the gifts of you to the world. Because think about it, we're all coaches, right? But wait, what makes me different than you? And what makes you different from me, right? It's how we grew up, our environment, the way we talk, our personality. And the people who are called to you are going to be called to you because they resonate with you. So number one, I don't minimize formal education. I actually advocate for it, but a degree can only take you so far. Use what you have naturally in your gifts and talents to accentuate that and set yourself apart. Number two, what I've learned too is that consistency is everything. To be honest, in my journey, I had some setbacks and discouragements at different points of my life. And being young-minded, I decided, I'm going to take a break from my business and pursue something else. I did that a few times. And it's so interesting that God never let me give up on myself. He brought my customers back to me year after year after year and said, hey, are you still baking? They would say, hey, can I have a birthday coming? Can I order a cake? And I might have been out of work, for a year, but they don't forget good quality and good people. And I was so honored when they would keep coming back. So I finally surrendered. And I was like, you know what? This is not about me. This is about me having a vehicle to touch other people. They need my light. They need me. So if they come to me because they need a cake, that's just the vehicle. What's the real reason? Consistency is always going to be one of the things that takes you to the higher level, because people trust you when you're consistent. And I was thankful to not have lost business because at times I was inconsistent, but I learned a lesson. But it was the hard way. It was the hard way. So I don't want my customers and my students to learn the hard way. You need to be consistent in anything that you put your mind to. And the third lesson in life, I would say, never compare yourself to somebody else. And I know we hear it, but I want you to hear me on this. Imposter syndrome is real. There's always another level to what we're doing. But if you understand that even if you're at the top, there's still another level, guess what? You don't have to, you're going to get there eventually, but your job is to go back and help the people who are the former versions of you. So anyone can be a coach, anyone can be a mentor, and you don't have to wait until you're so polished and you feel like you're ready. No, the time is now. And oftentimes, if you don't have it together according to the world standards, that's okay, because no one likes perfection. When I do my lives on Facebook and when I have bloopers, people love that. When I get tongue twisted and, I might drop a little bit of product or something on my shirt and oops, and they like that. They like the bloopers of imperfection. So embrace your imperfection. Embrace that you're not perfect. Embrace that there's someone else behind you looking for you to lead them. And then there's always the next level. So continue striving to get better, but also remember that there's a wad of people. There's a whole pack of people who are waiting for you to show up right where you are right now.
I love it. All three of them were great. I appreciate it. Yeah. Jessica, I'm glad you came on, and I would love to have you come back sometime in the future, see where things have taken you, since you have so much going on, who knows, maybe you'll have another transition along the way, but I thank you for sharing your journey and, continue to do what you're doing with your baking and sharing that with other people.
My pleasure. I mean, who doesn't love food, Jon? Food brings people together, right?
I know.
No, I know you know. And I was happy that you took a chance and took my class because you may I say that your daughter is blooming so beautiful, and she's so naturally talented in culinary arts. From what I see that you post on her page, I remember sharing that banana bread recipe, right? The banana bread recipe is kind of like how we first, started talking, and you just asked for it, and I gave it to you. I mean, I just gave it to you. It's fine,
Yeah.
The fact that your daughter.
And I'll add to that real quick. You taught me something about bananas. Like you said, you throw them in the microwave sometimes if they're not exactly, as ripe as they should be, right? And here forever, we were keeping like these rotten bananas in the freezer, that not rotten, but but that's what we were used to. So she knew. I told her that, and that kind of surprised her. She's like, "Oh, I never heard of that." We didn't do it. We didn't need to, but it's something to remember. And yeah, she made that bread. I guess it was that same day or the next day, if I'm correct. And it's on the same day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you guys were able to enjoy it as a family. I mean, that's something that's lost these days, bonding in the kitchen. Everybody's so busy and they're used to picking up a phone and ordering stuff. And what about us working together for a common goal, even if it's just cooking? Right. It allows us to talk. It allows us to connect. It allows us to bond and continue that relationship. So it's so much more than just cooking. It's about expressing your creativity. It's about getting closer to people who you love. And then the other part is sharing your food with people who love to eat, because guess what? They'll love you just because it tastes good after that,
That's true. Yeah, and we disconnect from the devices too, and you have that communication going on at the same time. And
yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Jessica. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.